Wanna talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk.
Welcome and welcome again. This is Talk to Solomon. That's me, Stan Solomon, my co-host.
Chief Steve.
Former Police Chief Steve Davis, lawman extraordinaire. We appreciate your being with us. And by the way, we don't have a guest this hour, so that we have some open line time. And if you want to call in, you can call 866-808-0637. You're welcome to call. Here's a name. I don't know if I can pronounce it well. His name is Vermani. He is an abortionist. His name is Ashutosh Vermani. He's in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, he was approached by some pro-life people, and it was videoed, and he said, why don't you adopt one of these ugly black babies? Why don't you adopt one of these ugly black babies? Now, this man is Indian by his name. I've not seen his picture. But today in America, approximately 2 of every 3 black children conceived in this country are aborted, are terminated, are murdered, are kept from taking their first breath of air. A lot of guys and some gals have made a lot of money killing babies. A lot of companies have made a lot of money selling the parts of these babies. And somehow, you're bad, you're a radical, you're an extremist if you're pro-life. And this agenda is not just in America, it's an international agenda. And here's the agenda. Ready? Fewer people means less use of resources and also means more easily controlled. Now, Chief, I know you're pro-life, so this is kind of a one-sided discussion. By the way, if you're pro-choice, feel free to call. There are no guarantees that you'll, at the end of the call, still be sane, if you're sane at all now. Because if you're for killing babies, you're an idiot, you're a moron, you're an imbecile, you're evil, you're a lowlife, you're disgusting, you're filthy, you're rotten, but God loves you. I don't. Now, Chief, I'm trying to be nice. It's his fault he's behind me and he has a pin and he sticks me regularly.
Well, that's a good idea.
Thank you. I think that's assault with a small weapon, which is kind of like Obama's intellect. The comment made by this guy is so incredibly racist, it defies imagination, and yet you don't hear anything about this from any of the mainstream media. Could you imagine if a conservative were to make such a statement? Why don't you adopt one of these ugly black babies? Why, Jesse Jackson would get off of his rocker. Jesse Jackson Jr. would leave the hospital. He's being treated for being a lunatic. Al Sharpton would actually pay some of his bills, and they would march around and moan. Would they not?
No, you're right. If this would have been a Caucasian that had gotten himself some type of an online biblical degree and is claimed to be a pastor, and he was making this statement, it would have been national news. But since it was an Indian or an Indian-looking person, Indian-sounding person, and not a white person, then it doesn't catch on. But you've made some interesting points here that the left is having trouble now with what they've been saying in the past. One is, this is not an unborn child is not just a tissue mass, and that's still what the abortion clinics tell these young women that come in for the first time, that hey, it's just a tissue mass, it's not really a baby. But now science has proven. The Bible already knew this. God already knew this. We already knew this as Christians. But the science has proven that life begins at conception. A fertilized human embryo has its own special DNA, its own unique DNA at conception. And so then the next part about this is about women's rights or women's bodies. And so abortion is supposed to be something that a woman is allowed to do because it's her body. But now they don't want to talk about all the little women that are inside these bodies getting aborted. And then the next part about this is that most of the women that have abortions sooner or later end up realizing that they've killed their own child and have serious psychological problems because of this.
And we haven't even talked about the fact that you're dramatically more likely to get breast cancer. Now let me explain that, just so in case you think I'm making this up, because I know we are watched by some people that are on our side and some people on the other side. That's fine. Appreciate that. When you become pregnant for the first time, your body goes through changes as a woman. One of the things that happens is that your breast cells start to get ready to produce milk where they've never done that before. So in the movie Tora, 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 where the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, no, it wasn't, Midway. In the movie, it was one of those two. I think it was Tora, 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 now I think about it. The American fighter and bomber planes went to attack one of the Japanese carriers, and they were in the midst of changing, of disarming or unloading one type of weapon and loading another type of weapon. And their decks were covered with ordnance as they were making these changes. And the American pilots exclaimed, "We caught them with the ordnance on their deck." And of course, the Japanese carriers blew up. I mean, they went from active to dissolved to liquefied in a matter of a few minutes. Well, a woman's body is the same. When a woman becomes pregnant for the first time and her body is going through those changes, if you have a natural situation take place, a miscarriage, the body knows what's happening and it shuts things down. But when you have an abortion, you're catching it with all the ordnance on deck, and it affects those breast cells for the rest of your life. Your chances, according to not one, not two, not 10, but dozens and dozens and dozens of studies, are that your chance of getting breast cancer increased by 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 900%. Now, when did breast cancer jump dramatically in this country?
Has to be when abortion jumped in this country.
Bingo, bingo, bingo. For all the discussion prior to Roe v. Wade, that millions and millions and billions and billions and whatever these morons said of abortions were taking place, the reality is there were relatively few. When they argued for Roe v. Wade, they went up and said, tens of thousands of women are dying in back alley abortions. Remember that?
Yes.
Do you know how many they documented? We'll guess. How many? How many? 5. They're smart guys. You know, they shave their heads, put their heads together, make an ass of themselves. 8. They're dead on it. They found 8 cases. They said tens of thousands. Here's a fact. Liberals lie. How do you know a liberal's lying? His or her or its mouth is moving. Now, have you heard this relationship between cancer and abortion? I mean, breast cancer and abortion?
Yes, I didn't know the numbers were that high, but I'd heard that. But that's staggering numbers.
Every study that's been done has been attacked. Oh, this is not a good study because the person that did this study, they peed in the pool. Oh, this is not a good study because the people who did this study, the university they went to was once told that they had a illegal football program. What did it make a difference? Anything that didn't give the answer they wanted, they put it down, and of course the media went right on with it. It's meaningless. But they do a study with 15 homosexuals and a stuffed giraffe. That's the gospel. That's the Holy Grail. Well, here's the fact, folks. Here's the fact. It's a baby.
Yes, now remember though, Barack Obama said that was above his pay grade to decide that, but science has decided it, and he's still for abortion. Go ahead.
You have to understand that's the only true statement he's ever made. Everything's above his pay grade. 1 and 1's above his pay grade. All right. It's a baby, so you're doing harm, irrevocable harm, because your baby is dead. I said that once on a show, and I had a guy, a pro-life guy. In fact, he's from Indiana. He's from southern Indiana. He has 9 kids or 10 kids. Wonderful guy. And he was on my show, very pro-life. In fact, he's the first guy that showed abortions and fetuses that had been murdered because he was running for Congress and they couldn't edit. Don't remember his name. Good guy.
But that's another good point too, Stan, is that when you're in a theoretical or a hypothetical discussion, it doesn't really have as much meaning as it does when you're really talking about real life. So another example is Steven Tyler, the rock star singer, who was talking to having his girlfriend get an abortion early on in his career because his friends said it would ruin his career if they had this baby. And so when the abortion took place and he saw the baby and saw it being killed, he said, "My God, what have I done?" And he's totally against abortion ever since.
And that's a terrible story because...
But it's reality,
reality.
Not hypothetical, reality.
Again, it's a child. You're doing irrevocable harm. You're killing your own child. And as Steve just pointed out, you're going to pay the piper sooner or later. Intellectually, psychologically, and of course, eventually when you meet God.
And that child.
And yeah, your child will say, "Mommy, why did you kill me? Mommy, why did you murder me? Mommy, why didn't you love me?" And I know you got the answer. "Hey, you'd have ruined my figure. You'd have cost money. You'd have cramped my style. I couldn't continue to do drugs.
You were black."
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Let me take the next step. Whoopi Goldberg, who, in my opinion, is one of the most talented women I've ever seen and heard. She's been gifted by God with that talent. She murdered 4 of her children. I'm sorry. She aborted 4 of her children. Only kept 1. The one she kept has been a mess because her mother's a mess and is in some sort of treatment, or was or will be. I mean, all of those are probably appropriate. And she still stands up and says it's all right to do abortion because it's a woman's right to choose. That's nonsense. If you swallow a nickel, the nickel is not part of your body, it's in your body. If you get pregnant, and I don't care if you're involuntarily impregnated, raped, if you will, by a relative incest or by a stranger rape, or if you went along with it, whatever, the child did nothing wrong. I was asked on the Jerry Springer show. Jerry Springer, I know, he's a nice enough guy. He's ruined his life. He's a worthless piece of crap at this point. I told him that was going to happen to him, and it has. But you'll be proud to know he went to a fundraiser for Obama because he's a useful idiot. At any rate, I was asked on his show by a woman who was a very large woman, much bigger than me. She probably weighed 275 pounds. She was probably 6'4". She was an out-of-the-closet lesbian. She wanted to be the den mother for her child who was there, 11-year-old boy, and the Boy Scouts wouldn't let her. And she was outraged. Then they had a Boy Scout who became an Eagle Scout, and then after he became an Eagle Scout, admitted he was a homosexual. Then they had a Boy Scout that was thrown out of the Boy Scout because he admitted he was a homosexual. Then they had a guy whose legal name was Luke Sissy Fag. He had his name changed to that, and he was a homosexual activist. And me, that was the panel. And Jerry Springer, who was just as weird as the rest of them. And so this lesbian lady said to me, at the time my daughter was 11. My daughter's in her 30s, middle 30s. So it's 20, 25 years ago. She said to me, "What would you do, Solomon, if someone raped your daughter and she got pregnant?" And I said, "I wouldn't kill my granddaughter. I'd kill the son of a bitch that impregnated her and raped her. What would you do?" Do you know, she couldn't come up with a single solitary thing to say. She didn't expect an answer like that. Your thoughts?
Well, it reminds me of the old movie Rosemary's Baby. I remember some of my friends talking about at the end when Rosemary found out that she was having the devil's child, and people said, why didn't she just kill it? And one of my friends said, well, that was her baby. And that's really the answer. That's what it is. It's her baby. So in your case, if someone is raped or a victim of incest, it's not the child's fault. And our duty should be to help everybody, help the mother, help the child. A lot of times too, I would never admit that raising a child is easy. Some are easier than others. Some are very difficult. So we must give a lot of credit to people that have special needs children, or their economic stance is very low. But still, it's not the child's fault at all, and it's our duty from God and the Bible and as biological beings on this planet to take care of children, to protect the children. That's what we're supposed to do, starting from the moment of conception.
Now, President Obama, who, and by the way, I have to, because of my legal advisor, Chief Steve, said, will you say to the president, level with us or we'll level you, you have to make sure you make it perfectly clear that you're not making any physical threat, which you can't do, and I'm not making any physical threat. If the president were to be in my presence, if he were to walk in here right now, he would never be in a safer place. I wouldn't let anyone, no matter what their motivation, do harm to him or, for that matter, anyone else. It's not the way moral people act. But I do think we can say to the president, level with us, or in this coming election in November, we'll level you. We'll take you out of your office and your fancy helicopter and your nice house and all your perks and your ability to bow down to everybody who's evil and your ability to give our money to all your buddies. That's going to be over.
But that's our house and our helicopter and our money's given away. But I want to make this statement. I want him alive to move out of the White House. I want to see him alive to watch Mitt Romney take over. So I hope he remains safe and healthy until after this election is over.
Well, I'm going to be around 4 years from now when this country has rebounded, when the jobless numbers have gone both in gross numbers and percentages, because he cheats with the numbers, dramatically down, and see what an utter failure and flop and phony he was. Anyway, that's my hope. Now, Obama said, I won't give any ground on vital Planned Parenthood funding. Now, Planned Parenthood, as we know, claims they do all kinds of health services. It's all crap. Here's a fact, folks. Check me out. Planned Parenthood, at their clinics, will give weakened birth control to people so they'll still get pregnant, so they'll come back and spend money. Go to Planned Parenthood if you're poor and say, will you do this for free? They'll spit in your face. Unless someone's paying them, they don't even kill babies. They have paid, let me say it differently. There are cases where women have been paid to get pregnant, to carry the baby full term, and then go to Planned Parenthood and other abortion clinics and allow a late-term abortion, which isn't an abortion at all, that they just deliver the child, tell the woman who's been put out there was an abortion, she gets her money, they take that child while alive and cut it up and sell its parts and make a lot of money. Did you know that?
Yes, they do, and those babies scream and cry and yell because they're being brutally attacked and murdered, and they're human beings, and that's what human beings do when they're brutally attacked and murdered, is they scream and yell.
That's the vital stuff that they want. All right. The general mentioned Harry Reid. Harry Reid went into politics, a dirty, stinking, rotten, poor guy, and now he's a dirty, stinking, rotten, rich guy. But he hasn't released any of his tax returns. Why is that?
Because he's a dirty, stinking liar and a cheat.
How is it he went on a relatively modest income, although better than the average, $130,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year as time went by, and became a $20, $30, $40 million net worth guy? How did that happen? I can tell you. Like Hillary Clinton, he would invest $5,000, and they'd say, oh, man, was that smart? You now get back $500,000. Oh, by the way, we're in this business. Any contracts? Oh, here's one for $40 million. That's how he got rich. They just finally passed a law saying you can't use insider information to make ridiculous returns on investments. Do you think we ought to have a law that is ex post facto, even though that's unconstitutional, that says we want to see the detailed information about everyone who's ever served in the Congress and every deal they've ever been in and every tax return so we know who cheated, who stole?
No, because probably most of them did it. So we probably already know that, if not all of them, most of them certainly have done it. We just need to make sure that doesn't happen again. But you mentioned Harry Reid, and he's criticizing Mitt Romney for not releasing his tax returns. But then again, the shoe on the other foot, Harry Reid's not releasing his either.
Nor is Nancy Pelosi,
Or Barack Obama.
who's also joined. Well, Barack Obama never made any money until he got into politics, although he lived fairly well.
But other records he's hiding.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's hiding his school records. In fact, this guy, Wayne Allen Root, who was the vice presidential candidate on the Libertarian Party ticket, I think 4 years ago or 8 years ago, one or the other, who's a professional odds maker, has made his living for almost 30 years doing that. That something doesn't add up. Now, one of our people here, Paul, just said, the word's out that Romney hasn't paid taxes in 10 years. Well, wait a minute. He released 2 years of tax returns. In 1 year, he paid $4.3 million in taxes. That's a little bit more than I paid. And the next year that he released, he paid $4.1 million. That's an average of $4.2 million for the last 2 years. Well, what did Harry Reid pay for the last 2 years? What did Nancy Pelosi pay for the last 2 years?
See, but the big question is not how much taxes that they paid, but did they follow the tax code, and did they file according to the law and pay what the law says? If it's nothing, that's what the law says, well, fine. But this is another reason why we should have the tax code has to be changed. We've got to get a fair tax or some type of a better tax system in this country because the current system is awful. And
well, it's designed for people that have the know-how or the advisors to find ways to circumvent that the rest of us don't have the sophistication to do. That's all.
Or the money to pay somebody to do
Right.
it for you. Right.
Now, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about this upcoming election. Let me just summarize it now, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about it. Romney is kicking Obama's butt, and we're being lied to. Now, the Democrats are lying because they want the Democrats to not lose hope. The Republicans are lying because they don't want us to get overconfident. I understand both, but the facts are what the facts are. Obama spends a ton of money, and the needle doesn't move. Romney spends some money, and the needle moves up. Whoever's going to support Obama, whoever's that stupid, that ignorant, that ingrained, that migrained, those people are there. No one else is going to buy into this bullcrap. It's not going to happen. We'll take a break and be back. I'm Stan Solomon.
I'm Chief Steve.
This is Talk to Solomon. Do you have a cell phone? I do. In fact, everyone I know does. There's only one problem with cell phones. They're too damn high. You remember that guy. With me is Ted Williams, one of America's experts on cell phones, and a guy who's been responsible, along with his company, for hundreds of thousands of people saving money on cell phones. Ted, thank you for joining us. Talk to us.
Well, I tell you, Stan, right now, every dollar a person can save is a dollar earned. I'm telling you, in this economy, the price of gas and the unsure situation with employment, our business is tailor-made, and our cell phone packages are tailor-made to help everyone out.
All right, let's state a few facts. Unlimited service isn't unlimited service anymore, right or wrong?
It's right for a lot of the big carriers that you're familiar with, but our company has got truly unlimited talk, text, and web. We don't slow speeds down. We don't charge you after 1 or 2 gigabytes. It's truly unlimited, running on a nationwide network with roaming options if people want it.
And to get unlimited service, which many people use today in their business, you're going to spend $120, $130, $140. How do you compare?
We've got plans that start at $20 with rollover minutes, and our truly unlimited talk, text, and web plan is $59 a month. Again, no limits on the data. And the exciting thing is you can earn, as a customer, you can earn free service by simply referring a few customers to us. That earns you free service potentially for the rest of your life.
Now, let me make sure I'm hearing this correctly. Without paying money, without being in the business, simply if you're a customer, at whatever the customer costs are, and I assume there are no deposits or that type of thing, that if you refer a few friends and they get service, you can earn free service for yourself?
Absolutely. It's, as you said, no contract, no deposit, no credit check. And we have many payment options. They can be auto billed, auto debited, phone in and make your payment over the phone, or a lot of options on how to pay the bill. But truly unlimited talk, text, and web available to you for $59 a month, and if you refer a few friends, totally free.
Now, two other questions. You said roaming is an option. How much does it cost?
If you have unlimited nationwide roaming, it would be an additional $20 if you
So
if
you're,
you need
you're
it.
still
But-
only $79.
Correct. But you may not need it because we are on the nationwide network.
Okay. And the second thing is, do you only have dial-up phones that you have to carry in a suitcase, or do you actually have the latest and greatest Droid phones?
We have Android phones are the hottest selling items right now on our site, but we also cater to those people that all they have a need for is a simple flip phone. So you can go from the top of the line phone to a free phone.
And are you competitive on those prices?
Absolutely. The phones, most people don't realize this, but the phone prices you hear on television are tied into contracts. We don't have a contract. So our phone, you buy it, you own it, and you pay the real price. The way you can find out how competitive it is simply ask any of those big 3 or 4 companies, what is the price of the phone if I don't have to sign a contract? And they'll tell you many of those Android phones are $400.
There you go. All right, folks, you can get more information by dialing 1-800-299-8362, or just go to cpnlive.com and click on the icon that says Get Free Phone Service. Free. Free. I can afford free. Can you?
Free is good.
Thanks.